Plenary session which focuses on research, innovation and startups related to climate change. This session is going to be chaired and moderated by Dr. Tarika Kumar, who is a faculty at Department of Environment Studies, Faculty of Science. And the panelists and speakers for this session are Dr. Shilpi Kushwaha, who is a scientist in CSIR, Central Salt and Marine Chemicals Research Institute. We also have Ms. Rajeshwari Singh, who is the founder director, Caravan Classroom Foundation and RHEA OPC Private Limited, and a very young participant, Mr. Kautilya Pandit, who is more popularly known as Google Boy. So can I request all the three speakers to kindly come and take their seats on the dais, and I will hand over the platform to Dr. Tarika.
I, Dr. Tarika from Department of Environmental Studies, would like to welcome all of you to the plenary session 2. As introduced by ma'am, this session is dedicated to the theme Research, Innovation and Startup related to climate change. So we have with us Dr. Shilpi Kushwaha, who is working as the scientist CSIR, Central Salt and Marine Chemicals Research Institute. She has received CSIR Young Scientist Award for the year 2021. She has 2 patents in her name and a series of research papers in her credit. We also have Ms. Rajeshwari Singh, a social entrepreneur and founder director, Caravan Classroom Foundation. A very special guest is among us, Kautilya Pandit, more popularly known as Google Boy. Who doesn't know him? He comes from a small village, Kohand in Karnal district, Haryana, and he was declared child prodigy because of his exceptional intelligence and vast knowledge. He is also the genius child, he's also called as genius child, space boy, and now he is a motivational speaker. He's felicitated many times and has received more than 500 awards. So I welcome them all on the stage. Without wasting much of time, I will hand over the stage to Dr. Shilpi, and she is requested to come up and please brief us about her work.
Thank you, Dr. Tarika, and a very good afternoon to all of you present over here in this auditorium. It is my honor to speak to you today on this platform given by Y20, and while we participate in India's G20 presidency. Being an alumni of MS University, this is a nostalgic feeling standing over here on the other side of the auditorium where I used to sit amongst you a few years back. So I thank MS University for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to speak. I also thank Ministry of Youth Affairs for organizing the event Y20 over here. Coming to today's topic of discussion, that is research and innovation, which is crucial in addressing the climate change, as it is one of the most pressing issues for our world today, and it is essential that we work together to address it. First and foremost, I would like to say that research is the key to understand the complex processes and systems that contribute to the climate change. We need to know how the Earth's climate is changing, what is causing the change, and what are the potential impacts that are impacting our environment, society, and economy. By conducting research, we can gather the data and evidence which we need to make the informed decisions and take actions to mitigate the effects of climate change. Innovation is one of the other crucial parameter in the fight against climate change. We need to develop new technologies and approaches to reduce our carbon footprint, adapt to the changing conditions, and create sustainable solutions. From renewable energy sources to carbon capture and storage, we have heard all about everyone saying in the morning session. There are many exciting innovations that are happening and are required to happen that can help us address the climate change and move towards a more sustainable future. One of the aspects that is reducing the carbon footprint, it is a critical issue of our planet and which requires research and innovation, and it is playing a crucial role in achieving this goal. Here are some ways which I would highlight during research and innovation are being used to reduce the carbon footprint. So first of all, we need to understand what is renewable energy research. Renewable energy research involves the study of alternative sources of energy that can be used to replace the traditional fossil fuel usage, such as coal, oil, and natural gas. The primary goal of renewable energy research is to identify and develop new technologies that can harness the power of renewable energy resources, including solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and biomass energy. These technologies are becoming increasingly cost-effective, making them more accessible to individuals and businesses just because of research and innovation happening throughout the world. For example, in our lab at CSIR CSMCRI, situated in Bhavnagar, we are working on electrochemical splitting of seawater. Why do we need electrochemical splitting? Because from water splitting, you can get hydrogen as well as oxygen. So, right now, the current strategies which are involving the electrolyzers are using clean water. We need a lot of resources and efforts to produce clean water first of all. So, why don't we move to a more sustainable solution, that is splitting seawater to produce green hydrogen? That is what we are working on, and this is a challenging task because seawater has a corrosive nature, and the catalysts used for splitting the water into hydrogen and oxygen gets corroded while we are putting them into the seawater conditions. So we need to develop more sustainable catalysts which are seawater resistant and can split water into oxygen and hydrogen at the same time. So currently the platinum and iridium based catalysts are being used as electrodes for splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen, which are expensive, and instead we are trying to develop earth abundant metal based catalysts which can reduce the cost as well as increase the longevity of the catalytic electrodes. Other options are also there which are being explored via research and innovation, that are energy storage via batteries, fuel cells, and other technologies which are being developed to store renewable energy. Carbon capture technologies, sustainable agriculture, green buildings, electric vehicles, grid integrations, and policy and economics research to study government incentives, subsidies, and regulations. Also, as described by the previous panel, that as individuals also, we can play a huge role in addressing this climate change issue by making small and impactful changes in our lives. So overall, we need to take action based on research and innovation in implementing policies and initiatives that reduce greenhouse gas emissions, protect vulnerable communities and ecosystems, and support sustainable development. In conclusion, research and innovation are the two critical components of our collective efforts to address climate change. And by investing our efforts, resources, and funds in research and innovation, we can create a more sustainable and environmental friendly future for ourselves as well as for the future generations. With this, I would like to thank you all for listening this brief remark. I would be happy to answer any questions raised during the session. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Kushwaha. We are grateful to you for sharing your thoughts. Next, we have Ms. Rajeshwari. She is requested next to come up and describe her contributions and role as a social entrepreneur and brief us about her work.
Namaste. My journey for environment has been almost since I was born, from going to school. And I remember in those days, I was in Mount Abu, in a small hill station in Rajasthan, where I was sent to a boarding school when I was just 4 years old. And during those days, we had a compulsory period wherein we used to sit under the trees with our books. And that was imbibed in us from our school times. And I'm talking of the 90s era. And now can we imagine for just a moment, just for 10 seconds, that what would be the breeze of the trees, sitting under the trees? Right now we have to be in these temperatures with air conditioners have become a very compulsory options for us, that we cannot, walk around outside with such soaring temperatures. My journey personally have been as a citizen of this country, where I campaigned in 2018, where I walked from this city to the national capital region called New Delhi. I did a walk for 45 days campaigning for World Environment Day, when India had hosted World Environment Day in the year 2018, where I got all the support from various non-government organizations, state governments on my route, to United Nations Environment Program, and the campaign wherein I dealt and I interacted with local governments in villages. In India, we call it gram panchayats, from sarpanch to the secretary, Ministry of Climate Change in New Delhi. And you met thousands of people while the campaign. The campaign was actually practiced at an experiential level, that can a human survive doing this crusade of walking in 45 degrees soaring temperatures? Can you survive without consuming any kind of liquid packaged in a plastic, single-use plastic? Can a human survive doing that? And I have done this at an experiential level, that the entire 45 days I have walked. I woke up at 4:30 and my walk started. Being a woman walker, of course, for few portions, I had people walking, some government officials walking with me and supporting my campaign. But I managed to survive till New Delhi, absolutely 0% single-use plastic. I could manage that. I consumed water from earthen pots, hand pumps, and that is what I had done. You have to walk the talk. During the campaign, there were so many questions being asked, that what is the solutions? What are the solutions? If you're asking us not to use single-use plastic, then what are the alternatives? How do we cope up with this? So first, we have already done so much of damage. So we need to first come back to neutral. When we start our cars, we have to get back to neutral. And that is how our startup called Zeroite was born. And we were talking of intangible, we were campaigning, and that's intangible. When it came to tangible solution, we came up with Zeroite. That Zeroite is technically, when the thought came of coming up with a startup that facilitates, if people can actually come to a refill stations, fill up their basic grocery to things that are alternatives to single-use plastic. When we were thinking of the name, my mother asked, what would you name your brand? And that's when we thought Zeroite. Zeroite is a brand which believes in a minimalism, minimal lifestyle. We do not want there is a difference between need and want. So first we need to come to neutral, zero. And zero, if we all know, zero has been a contribution from India to the world, the whole number system in the 5th century. So we feel proud that zero has been the contribution, and zero you need to come, and it has infinite possibilities to make a start, to our imaginations, to our ideas. And ideas, we think of it every day. When it comes to execution, that's the whole game. So Zeroite is now 3 years old. We started from Vadodara in 2020, and now we have an online store, and we have a store in Jaipur. And unbelievably, we have been getting so many calls from different parts of the country. And even we've got a call from American consulate that we are so impressed by your work. We want to nominate you and be a part of our summit in 2024 in United States of America. And it's a startup born out of Vadodara in 2020, during Corona tough times, when people asked us, that it's a big risk, you are investing so much of money, and, it's going to be a failure and all that. And, you need some sort of disruptive ideas to, break the mold. So that's how we started this. And I would like to tell you that we've been getting so many calls from women, homemakers, that, we have this waste, we have electronic waste, why don't you do something with it? We have a sari, we have so many old saris, can you make thelas out of it? And we accept such things, and every day there is a problem solving, and every day we are thinking of innovative ways to solve these issues. Now, I would just like to end with one very personal experience. Just 3 days ago, we had an international traveler who's just a friend. She was telling me that in the aircraft, we were just sitting, and there was a single-use plastic bottle, and there was a discussion that, do you even realize that there is a bottle that just to quench a thirst for 30 seconds, we are almost leaving a bottle which is going to be immortal for 500 years. Do we even realize it so much in our day-to-day life that we don't even realize that this is a problem? So she said that, yeah, I think India has got really strict, because yesterday when I was traveling to India in Lufthansa, they made an announcement that please make sure that you do not litter around your single-use plastics in India when you land in India, because the government has really strict guidelines for it. And the last thing I want to say, I am a new mother. I have just delivered a son 3 months ago, and I was actually scheduled for a C-section, and I went into labor exactly the same scheduled time, and the doctor had to tell me that we cannot go for C-section, you will have to deliver the baby normal. And in 10 minutes, I could deliver the baby painlessly, and it was a miracle. And the first thought that came to my mind is, before he is my son, he is the son of this planet. And that is what is being going to be taught and imbibed to him. I don't care what he becomes, whether he's a filmmaker, whether he's an environmentalist, whether he's an entrepreneur. His first commitment towards, he should have the first commitment towards the planet. And we all are sitting here. We are just mere guests on this planet for an average of 60, 70 years, and there'll be another generation coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Singh, for sharing your insightful and exemplary thoughts and experiences. We are very much thankful for her to come here in such a short notice. And now we have Google Boy. Without much wait, I invite him on stage, and here his
First and foremost, I'd like to mention my thanks to everyone present here and all the organizations and people behind this gargantuous task. I think Today, we are in pressing situation, we are in pressing problem, and we're fighting the war against doomsday itself. It is one of the many war fronts on which we are here. The Y20 summit being held at Maharaji Sayajirao University itself is a gargantuan event, and I think it will help all of us understand the vulnerability. It's pretty difficult to ask. So it's pretty difficult for us to understand that how we can cope up with the situation. I think the situation that we are in today is very pressing, and we need to understand that there are many solutions, there are many people, there are many ways, there are many methods. But one thing is common, and that is a goal, that is the target. We all have, okay, sorry. We all have the same target, we all have the same goal, and it is the Mother Earth that we serve for, it is what we are given, and now we have to understand our cause. Because it is a revolution that we need to follow on. I think in modern history, people and the humanity have seen many different war fronts, many different causes, and many different revolutions. And one of the biggest that will follow on will be what we'll make now. So this environmental revolution is what we have to take on from now. And the moment it has started, it is from when all of us have understood in our mind that it is what we have to do it. I think it's the responsibility of an individual to contribute even the minimal he can. There are a lot of people who have the right and power to make the situation better and help in eradicating all the problems. But the power of an individual is what determines on the global stage. It's true कि बूंद बूंद से सागर भरता है और हम सभी का एक एक contribution will help in making the world better and help in eradicating the situation and eradicating the problem. If we understand that the problem is with us, it is now because what actually was climate change is 5 years or 10 years back, we all thought that after 50 years or after 25 years, we'll be in a situation when fossil fuels won't be there, when we won't be having ample resources, when there would be some landslide somewhere, there would be earthquake, sea level would rise, glaciers will melt, polar ice caps will reduce. We all were in a situation when we thought that this would happen, I think in a situation when it would be 25 years or 50 years from that time. But I think it didn't took much long. And within 10 or 15 years, we are in a situation when we're seeing all of those things that we thought would happen after like 50 years or something, they're happening now and we can't do anything about it. It is because that we took it for granted and we thought that climate change in such situations, such problems were something that we could easily face, like what we had done till now, till 19th century, till 20th century. But now the problem that we have is pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult to imagine because the problem is common. And it's the sheer nature of human that we have seen in the post modern era, after Cold War and after World War. I think what you've seen is to work individually and countries are working on their own pace. But the problem that we now share is common. The enemy that we have is one. We're not fighting some n number of different enemies. We don't have several problems to tame. But I think that the core and the sheer amount that we put, the sheer effort that we're putting on in different branches will lead us to one solution, will lead us in eradicating one problem. The problem is big, the problem needs to be addressed. And time is not on our side. But what we have with us is a bond, is that we all are here. And this is what I can see from the Y20 summit, that people from different parts of the world, from different parts of India itself, have came here and they're thinking of solutions, they're thinking of eradicating this problem, addressing to the situation, and now giving their time in understanding that what we have done till now is not enough. Because good enough is not good enough, and we have to do something extraordinary. We have to get to some extraordinary solutions and work accordingly in one and single unit. There are several war fronts in which we have to fight this doomsday, in which we have to fight this enemy of climate change. And Y20 is one of many such war fronts. What I'm seeing today is one of the most beautiful pictures. People have came here from different parts of the country, from different parts of the world. Recently, we saw that climate change and such problems, disasters are taking place. Recently, we had earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Meanwhile, back we had problems in Nepal. We are facing several economic crises around the globe. Problems are arising, and that is something that is seen by entire world from different regions. It's not just that one part of the globe is facing it. Every part of the globe, every single place, every individual, every person, every human being is affected by climate change. It is affected by this enemy which has no face. And now it is our responsibility to work accordingly and try to make the world a better place, because we have the power. If we are together, then we can do it. If we work on individually at different war fronts, having different ideologies and inducing politics and several other things at individual level, then I don't think that we can work in such a manner. The power that we have in a group, the power that the entire world, that the entire planet has, is unmatchable. And that is what will help us in coping up with the situation. The plenary session is based upon research. The idea and the topic is research, innovation, and startups related to climate change. I think it is really pressing to get up on new solutions, and renewable energy is one of the many problems and one of the many solutions that we have. The problem is that switching up to such a mean of power, to such a meaning of energy, is pretty difficult as it seems now. And once it comes onto the mainstream, it is very helpful in, I think, when renewable energy takes place, it would be pretty easy for us to understand what problem we have in front of us and work accordingly and work in one manner. There are several solutions that many people have came up with. At different places, people are doing several researches. For example, we are having hydro energy. We're working on to wind energy, solar power. Also, there are some things like nuclear power, which are hazardous, but still they are better for environment if taken proper care than the usual means that we are being taken like from 20th and 19th century. It is with us. The problem and solutions are in front of us, and we have to work on them now. To all the people who have came from different parts of the land, I'd like to mention that India, and especially the world, in the world, India holds a place of community worshipping. And as it is written even in the Y20 Summit's logo, कि वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, तो यह हमारी सालों से रीति रही है, रिवाज रहा है, that we understand that when we are one, when we are working together, the power we have, the power we amass is way greater than one person can. It is true that there are people who have instantaneous action, who have the power to work instantaneously and help in eradicating the problems. But if we try to work as a single human being and try to even contribute the minimalistic that one can, I think it won't be such a problem then, because as an individual, we have that power. As an individual, we have that power to make a global change. The revolution has started, and the moment the revolution has started was from when you thought, when that thought came into your mind that I have to work for this Mother Earth. I have to work now. It's on me. Nobody else would come and help when the problem would come, when we'd be seeing some existential crisis. But it is now when we have to act. Before ending, I'd like to mention a few lines of राष्ट्रकवि श्री मैथिली शरण गुप्त. He once said के नीलांबर परिधान हरित तट पर सुंदर है, सूर्य चंद्र युग मुकुट मेखला रत्नाकर है, करते अभिषेक पयोध हैं, बलिहारी इस वेश की, हे मातृभूमि तो सगुण मूर्ति सर्वेश की. पाकर तुझसे सभी सुखों को हमने भोगा. The people who actually can't understand Hindi, I'd like to mention that we have actually amassed a lot of powers and a lot of resources from our Mother Earth. And the thing is, कि पाकर तुझसे सभी सुखों को हमने भोगा, तेरा प्रत्युपकार कभी क्या हमसे होगा. तेरी ही यह देह तुझी से बनी हुई है, तेरे सारस सरस सार से सनी हुई है, फिर अंत समय अचल देख तू ही इसे अपनाएगी, हे मातृभूमि यह अंत समय तुझ में ही मिल जाएगी. I think we all have taken something from the nature. The nature, the Mother Earth has given something to every individual. पाकर तुझसे सभी सुखों को हमने भोगा, तेरा प्रत्युपकार कभी क्या हमसे होगा. जिसकी रज में लोट लोट कर बड़े हुए हैं, जिसकी रज में लोट लोट कर बड़े हुए हैं, घुटनों केवल सरक सरक कर खड़े हुए हैं, परमहंसम बाल्यकाल में सब सुख पाए, जिसके कारण धूल भरे हीरे कहलाए. हम खेले कूदे हर्षयुक्त जिसकी प्यारी गोद में, हे मातृभूमि तुझको निरख मग्न क्यों ना हो मोद में, तुझको निरख मग्न क्यों ना हो मोद में. So once again I'd like to mention my thanks to everyone present here, and it's my honor that I got the opportunity to be a part of such a gracious event, and the problems and solutions that would be and have been highlighted in this event are itself very gracious, and they hold the power to change the world. And I'd like to end my speech with one more line, and it is just that if we all act one, then the problem and target that is individual, that is single, would come on to end. And again, I'd like to thank you very much. And what I've seen today, what I'm seeing today, is that people from different parts of the globe have arrived together, and they know that the problem is on us, and we have to work now. And the awareness itself says a lot, and the picture that is in front of me itself says a lot. And I think that I'm short on words now, because the Youth 20 consultation and the clock is not allowing me to say further. But again, thank you very much, and bye-bye.
I was pretty surprised and that he has used so many technical terms and giving it a meaningful talk. We are so proud of you, beta. And our youth is blooming so beautifully. Thanks a lot for being with us. And now the session is open for discussion and question and answer session. I would request the volunteers to please approach the people who are asking questions. Yes, we have. Volunteers, please come this side. Yeah, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam.
Yeah, please tell the question.
I'm Zubair, a research student in the field of charging electric vehicle using wireless power transfer. And my question is from Dr. Shilpi. What will be the environmental impact if all G20 members turn their conventional vehicle into electric vehicle? And my second question is there any master plan by G20 regarding time duration to say goodbye to the internal combustion engine vehicles?
Audience to please sit silently. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the question. It is a interesting but a difficult one to answer, because there are, as you have asked about this topic, about converting all the vehicles into the electric vehicles. So, as you know, the knowledge and research and innovation, all the things go hand in hand, and it is a continuous process. It is not what we have learned and it is going on. Like if we talk about the lithium running electric vehicles, or lithium used for the mobile phones, we were not having that much lithium around us. But now, with the new discovery, we have a lot of source of lithium which can be used. So, as the problem comes, researchers work on it, and it is going to happen. So it is a continuous process. At the moment, we cannot say whether converting everything into the electrical vehicle will address the problem. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer, ma'am. We would like to have more questions. This is the time to thirst your quench knowledge-based questions.
Audible?
Hello.
Audible?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Hi, this is Agardeep Mohanta from Faculty of Science. My question to Koti, as you know, that environment and industries are inversely proportional to each other. If you want to industry, you have to sacrifice some amount of environment. Is it true or not?
Well, what you've stated is, it was true, especially like until now. I think the more the industry has grown, the more industrial revolution has taken place, the more we are expanding, our environment is affected inversely. But I think there is a hope that we can change the situation, that we can change this process, that we can change this framework, that the more we use, the more we expand, the more we try to increase our materialistic, or what you can say, if we try to increase our industrial output, the more the environment would be harmed.
In the continuity of this, I would like to say, when we talk about that we have to save the environment, we generally focusing in the developing countries, not the developed countries. Because as we've seen in the past, that developed countries like USA or UK, they have already done the industrialization, and because of that, they have that amount of GDP that sustain that population. If you want to sustain that population to developing countries like India, we need industrialization. But for that, we can't. That is why we have that this type of conferences. How to manage both the things. In my
I think that the world has actually gotten more sane in 21st century than it was in 20th. We had world wars, we had a lot of problems, but I think that it is better now that we are working on more and important things. We are working together for conserving climate rather than gaining some land of Poland. So that is something that is better now, and the reason that now even developing countries are what are the driving force of this conserving and of this cause is what makes us feel more related, that we are taking the charge of saving the mother earth. And I think it's a moment of proud for us. But well, it's true that we need to increase our industrial output, we need to push our pedals and work more in economic growth. But the reason that that now we are working and for finding new solutions, I think that in 2-3 years, and now we'll get some better solutions and outputs. As ma'am even mentioned, that we are working accordingly, and even in green energy, and as said, that even in lithium and several other fronts, we are expanding, and we are having more and more resources and industrial resources to work on in green and nuclear.
We would like to have more questions. So, yeah. So, any more questions from the audience, please? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Jai Shah. I'm working for the City Climate Action Plan in VMC. My question to Dr. Kushwaha, ma'am, related to the littering plastics in oceans, what are the impact on the waves, which is little bit technical things, and is there any impact on coastal cities as well as the other part of country? And second, which is related to the Miss Rajeshwari ma'am, that we know single-use plastic is very harmful for us, and we know that government is also banned for that particular things. But in very short period of time, we can't just not use that particular bottle. So what are the alternative ways to reuse that particular bottles or things that households can be done? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So, first of all, I would like to say that you have mentioned about all the plastics in the oceans, as well as we are using the single-use plastic. So, there is research going on continuously to modify the ways how to reuse the plastic, even the single-use plastic. There are plastics like, if you know about it, there is LDPE, low density polyethylene, HDPE, there are ultra high molecular weight polyethylene. So all those plastic materials are being, by the means of innovation, we are trying to convert it into the fuels. And that is what is going to give us a sustainable way. And the other question is that it is impacting the oceans and the beaches. So there is continuous effort from the government that the beach monitoring has to be done, whether the pollutants are there or not, because most of the plastics have bisphenol A and other derivatives which are toxic and can be dissolved in the water. So those monitoring programs are going on throughout the country along the 7,000 kilometers of coast in India. So with this, I would give to.
Your question, I would just pick it up from where she left. Uh, artificial intelligence technologies have been incorporated across the globe. There are sensor-based infrared technology has come in for marine litter also in these times, where you can actually extract marine pollution, especially plastic pollution. And I'm sure some percentage of people would also know that right now in the Pacific Ocean, if you would calculate the area mass of France, a country, that amount of plastic litter is there in the Pacific right now. You agree, Kautilya? Yeah. So talking to your solution, that how do we start at an individual citizen level as we all know that we are in a transition phase right now. We cannot switch over overnight. And yes, when we talk of banning single-use plastic, a lot of jobs would be gone, a lot of factories would be shut. So we are in a transition, we are finding solutions, and at citizen level, at community level, at a household, we need to start finding solutions like using reusable, a metal bottle, or a bottle where you can refill, keep refilling your water. So these are the small steps, and I think it's the role of citizen, government policies, media, playing a role as a watchdog in checking, keeping a check on the government policies, and these kind of innovations, business, all working together. That answers your question. Thank you.
Questions from audience still? Ridu.
Good afternoon to everyone, participants and distinguished delegates. My name is Sardar Mahmad. I am from Afghanistan, one of engineering student of MSU University. My question is this from the delegates that we know atmosphere temperature is increasing.
Yeah,
temperature increasing divided to that population increasing in the world and also industrial that world temperature atmosphere temperature is increasing day by day. We know that there are some factors affecting that prevent deforestation and also using renewable energy. My question is this: does the India government or and also world has specific policy to prevent and control this atmosphere temperature or not? And also that we see the glacier is melting day by day. My question is this: what is the specific policy for preventing and control the atmosphere temperature? Thank you.
What I get as a question is related to global warming, so you can please answer.
Well, it is true that the temperature is increasing and the world is facing global warming, and it is one of the major issues. Well, the state itself is trying to do something, and there are like, as you know, that COP or COP has even done some. They have taken some steps in addressing the situation, in addressing this problem. And well, what I can actually say is, for global warming, the biggest threat that we are actually facing now and that is increasing this problem is not only just the industries and the big problems that we have in the industrial sector, but the biggest change that we can incorporate is at an individual level. And as it is stated many times by different people, if we try to change our lifestyles and reduce our carbon emissions, if we try to reduce our carbon footprint, then the entire carbon footprint of the globe would decrease dramatically. And as we know that there are countries like Bhutan which are carbon negative, and there are even states in India like Uttarakhand and Madhya Pradesh who have a lot of land in which forests are there. But I think deforestation is taking place, and now we need to work. And there are several schemes that are taken by the government of India itself. As I don't have the exact names, but after COP26, there was a big meeting that was held between I think then and now Union Minister of Environment, Shri Bhupendra Yadav ji. I think on,
Chief Minister.
yeah, Honorable Minister of Environment and other people. So now I think that the state itself is taking a lot of causes, and if we work on an individual level, then we can try to decrease our carbon footprint and help in eradicating global warming.
The next question, please. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Speaker. I am Bhavna Vasudev. I'm an architect, urban planner. I look at the building industry very closely. And I think after listening to all 6 speakers this morning, I got to know that minimalism is the key to attain sustainable development. But here, one of the celebrated architects in 1900 to 1950 said, less is more, and that has led to minimalism, and that has impacted the entire industry. But then Richard Neutra, another architect, said, less is a bore. It doesn't mean more is interesting, of course, but how do we really, because building industry do impact sustainability to a great extent. So I just want to know from the young speaker that how do we really convince the youth that minimalism, less is not bore, and minimalism is the key, and that is how we can attain the sustainability.
So I think minimalism is, well, this problem that you've stated is, as you've stated pretty well, that it is not of building industry, but it is of the human nature and mind, that we think that if we are being minimalistic, then we are not using our own resources, and then we are not being cool, then we are bored. So I think that one of the biggest inspirations of minimalism and one of the biggest uses of minimalism that was taken, we can see it in our Indian scriptures, we can see it in our Indian culture, that any sort of wastage of food, wastage of resources, using minimalistic things is what our entire civilization was based on. And and even sadhus and different people who were who were the representatives of the Indian culture, and entire households of India's were based on being minimalistic and reducing all the cost of resources and other things that we can. Thank you.
I request Rajeshwari ma'am to please present her views on this.
I think it starts with individual level, of course, and like you spoke of architecture, the building. The more open it is, the more airy it is, the more natural forces are around it. It makes it more sustainable, more healing. It has more natural vibes, and you will feel content with it. So I personally have become very minimalistic with the last, let's say, almost a decade, wherein now I don't feel like buying new clothes. I'm happy with what I have. That is how it starts. So it's a habit, and it turns into a regular pattern of your lifestyle. And suddenly you realize that you don't want anything, you need just fresh air to breathe. In Japan, there is this whole concept of they'll take you through the forest walks, and they'll make you hug trees, and you'll feel therapeutic. So for having fresh air, In countries like Singapore, you pay a heavy tax just to pollute. And there are so many strict guidelines wherein the polluter pays. So the more minimalistic approach you have, you will be happier and content and healthy. You will feel fresh about it. So I don't think it's more of a philosophical, more ideological theory attached to it than, it needs a lot at individual level to follow a minimalistic approach. Yeah.
I hope she answered, and it was an apt answer, of course. Now we can have questions from the back, please. Yeah, she has raised her hand. Oh, yeah, you can. You can.
Not audible.
Put on the mic, please. Yeah.
Good afternoon, respected guests. I'm Naran Chemek. I'm from Mongolia. I'm Faculty of Social Work. We know that industries, they use more power. They produce the more hazardous wastage, which is the hazardous effects the nearby nature environment that surround the lakes and rivers. So what about the industry's correlation with government? Industry CSR initiatives and government support for tax-free. Thank you.
You can please take over.
So thank you for the question. It is like you said about industries, there are some malpractices happening, but there have been a lot of changes in the recent past. Like if you say about industries putting up waste in the water streams. Okay, so there are government bodies which are trying to monitor the waste streams with the help of online monitoring systems, which are directly monitored at a central level. So it is a step by step evolution happens. So slowly we are improving, and hopefully maybe in the near future we will have the waste free water or the soil or the air.
She has answered well. The next question.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ikram Da Silva. I'm from a small country called Lesotho in Southern Africa. I am studying at Kekashas 3 Government Science College. I'm studying environmental science. From what I've heard so far, I like the behavior-based risk management side of things, where we are putting a little bit of the blame on the individual people or the responsibility. Yet, when we look at the biggest polluters in the world and how they're actually polluting and what they're benefiting from that pollution, and which conferences they're part of. Some of them are not even part of the Rio conferences. They're not part of that. So now my question is, what tangible, quantitative evidence do we have that this individual behavior-based approach is having on actual climate change in comparison to, and this is related to what my sister just said right now, in comparison to what the major industries are producing, the amount of energy they use to produce that waste And instead of being punished, they are given tax breaks.
He wants to ask about the individual level problems that we create and how well can we accommodate the solutions.
I think
Yeah.
what I just said is very clear.
The tangible options that we have.
If there's any misunderstanding,
Yeah, I got it.
I'll
Even
clarify.
the speakers have understood. So please be seated. They will be answering.
We had a discussion, let's say 4-5 years back after my walk, that, can there be a system that every individual, from the time he wakes up, the 24 hours, his routine, can be monitored in terms of what is the waste he or she is generating, or the vehicle, how many vehicles a person owns, every household. And so my fellow colleague said that you're thinking too fast, in a country like India. How can you monitor something like this, that how much an individual, and in a country with such a huge population, it's quite tricky. So industries, it is so difficult that we have so many industries, and it's so difficult to even find out that what is the amount of pollution. And we have bodies like Pollution Control Board in the vicinity of corporation city area limits and all, where certain measures are being taken, and it is with CSR activities, many activities are happening, but it is still very difficult to find out. But yes, with the coming times, with artificial intelligence and such technologies coming up, there will be surely a time in very, very close near future, wherein I think some few countries have already started. There are government schemes like that you have to cycle to your office, and government would support such initiatives. If 5 days a week, if you're working, if you're going to your office work by a cycle, government would give you incentives on that. So these are the small little innovative programs that can help reduce and gauge it at an individual level. Yeah, I tried my best to answer it.
The
No,
next
that's
question.
fine. So I'm Meeta Rajiv Lochan. I am Secretary Youth Affairs, Government of India, and the delegate from Lesotho raised a very important question. Our answer is that India is the land of individual enterprise. India is a nation where we believe in taking everyone along. Everyone's opinion matters. And we have seen in the last 75 years of independence that when individuals believe whatever it is that they are saying, and then they act on that belief, and when thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of individuals work together, then that is what causes social change. And all policy, social policy, comes from that individual belief that they actually work on and believe on. And if we see from the state of Gujarat, where we are holding this consultation, from Maharashtra, where I come from, Uttarakhand, where climate change is issue that impacts people every day, there have been so many social movements. These social movements have been led by individuals. It is those individuals that matter in India, and they have shown in so many ways concretely that individuals coming together can change the way in which society is structured and they change the way in which public policy happens. And we draw public policy on the basis of these social movements. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for such concluding remarks and nice interaction with the audience. So I would like to conclude here. And because of the shortage of time, we will not take more questions. I see very inquisitive audience here. But still, we would like to end this session. And with that, I request the volunteers to bring the mementos for felicitation of the speakers.
So a big thank you
Sanskriti,
to...
can I just have a minute? I just want to say all that is going on here on the dais, the kits that you all are having is all done by Rajeshwari Singh and her startup. So big round of applause to that. She's really worked day and night to have everything ready for the thing. Even the water bottle which has been given to all the speakers is about the startup of one of the university. So that's the way university is encouraging Youth India. So I just wanted to bring that to attention. Yeah, thank you.
I would also like to continue with what Bhavna madam has said. We have an exhibition of some of the startups related to climate change in the hall near the entrance, and I would request all the delegates to kindly spare time and have a visit for the exhibition as well. That will definitely encourage our young entrepreneurs in whatever they are doing in mitigating climate change.